I only have a basic understanding of Gnosticism. I haven't done a whole lot of reading or even watched a whole ton of videos about the topic in a while. But Gnosticism, as far as I understand it, is this belief that our world was created by a demiurge, and that the mother of this demiurge is named Sophia, and that because of Sophia, we have a spark of divinity inside of us. Something that I would hope the demiurge could never take away from us. It's a nice idea, but I don't know if I fully believe in all of that. I just know that I believe in a malevolent creator. And while I understand that there may be some logical fallacies involved in my thinking regarding this belief, it's something I can't exactly let go of either. I think it's just a part of how my mind works that it doesn't exactly see gaps in my knowledge as I guess the way to word it is, where there's a gap in my knowledge, there's always room for something like a demiurge to fit into it. That's probably the best way to word it. So when it comes to the God of the gaps, I think there will always be a gap in my knowledge that I can never fill, and there's always going to be room in that gap for a demiurge. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense to say it like that, because that's genuinely how I feel about this. And I think it's just a part of how my brain works in general, but the God belief is something I can't ever let go of, but the evidence for a good, merciful, and loving creator is just not there. More than likely we have a God or a creator or whatever you want to call it that uses threats of violence and torture to get people to bow down to it. And once they've done so, occasionally it will shower some of them with blessings to buy them off, to keep them enslaved. Whoever this creator is, whatever this creator is, demiurge or not, no amount of threats and no amount of trying to buy me off with blessings can ever change my mind about the malevolence of this creator. The malevolence of this demiurge, this dictator in the clouds, whatever it is. But I do think Gnosticism is interesting. And I've also heard people talk about Gnostic groups in the medieval periods, or the medieval period, that I think they were called the Cathars, that were heavily persecuted by the Catholic Church and had a crusade launched against them. Why did that happen? Well, it's because they thought that the God of the Catholic Church was a demiurge. And the Almighty Church could not allow people to think like that. So they had to try to kill them off. And not by offering them a peaceful and graceful way out if they want. Not that. but with a sword and by force. That was the Catholic Church's way back then. You weren't allowed to even think differently from them, or they executed you for heresy. It's no wonder that the mainstream religious groups have a lot to fear when it comes from the idea of Gnosticism. The fact that their almighty God that they have worshipped all this time could just be a mere demiurge, and one whose archons feed on our energy all the time. And I would say these religious people are the ones getting their energy sucked out the most. But I could never join them and sing praises to the Creator. I just can never do that. Because I don't see anything worth praising. And perhaps if I dig a little bit deeper into the Gnostic scriptures and actually, read more into the topic, more in depth, perhaps I might find some meaning in that. Other people seem to have done that. Because I do like to gain knowledge wherever possible. It's just that Gnosticism is not the only thing that I'm interested in. I am interested in the weather as well. Sorry, my phone was starting was vibrating next to the microphone, and I couldn't answer right then, so I had to move it. But yeah, Gnosticism at the moment is interesting enough to me that I may actually want to dig a little bit deeper into it and learn more about it. I know this ended up being a long video just for me to say that I think Gnosticism is interesting. I guess I kind of talked about other things too, but at the end of the day I seem to be at least somewhat knowledgeable in regards to some parts of history that have interested me in the past. I really do find our ancient past interesting. Regardless of how I feel about gods and Gnosticism and things like that, I just find the ancient history interesting. And while some of it may have to be taken with a grain of salt in some cases, I still just think it's interesting. And I guess that's all I have to say for now.